Hi, I'm Stu from Hive Mind Automation, and welcome to the Hive. In this video, we're going to be talking about solar energy. Specifically, we're going to be talking about getting our solar energy data into Home Assistant. Now, about 2 years ago, we installed solar panels on our roof, thanks to the Victorian State Government Solar Rebate Program, and I'll pop a link in the description to that. We wanted to get solar not only to reduce our energy bills, but also to help reduce our carbon footprint. One of the most important things to know about getting solar installed, and it might seem obvious when I tell you, is that you have to change the way you use electricity in order to see any real impact on your power bill. The problem is that the energy retailers won't always tell you that part. With a smart home, we can use Home Assistant to make decisions to turn things on and off, to conserve or utilize energy based on the data that we have available. Now, in a previous gadget review video, I reviewed the Rainforest Eagle 200 Smart Meter Energy Gateway. Unfortunately, the Rainforest Eagle pretty much only works in Victoria, if you're here in Australia, or in the US or Canada, and I think also in the UK, but don't quote me on that. If you've got rooftop solar, however, there's a good chance that your solar inverter can provide you a reasonable amount of good data for you to make some decisions as well. So what we're going to do is set up our solar inverter to pull data into Home Assistant. Some inverter manufacturers also create smart meters with clamps so that you can query that data and pull it into Home Assistant and get the same data that the Eagle gives me. In my case, I have a Fronius solar inverter. If you also use a Fronius, you should be able to follow along. However, if your inverter is a different brand, you should take a look at the energy section of the Home Assistant integrations website to see if you can integrate your inverter as well. With solar installations now resuming here in Victoria and a good friend of mine having solar installed soon, I'm hoping to be able to go visit and do a video about their installation when the time comes. You'll see from the video on my inverter a display on the bottom left-hand corner that's displaying the current power output of the inverter. It is a rainy, dreary day here today, so it's not great numbers, but at any rate, I can't exactly sit here all day watching the display to see what the solar system's doing. Not to mention, the inverter's in my garage and it's pretty cold today. By integrating our inverter into Home Assistant, we can see this information on our Home Assistant dashboard, and even better, using the mobile app. So let's take a look at the documentation for the Fronius integration, and we'll see that it's very straightforward. I'm going to grab the sample configuration, pop over to VS Code, and I'm going to paste that in here. I'm going to fix the indentation on that row. And I'm going to add the Fronius URL. Now we need to put in http:// and in my case, mine's on 192.168.1.74. Now we'll save that file. We'll pop back over to Home Assistant and we'll go to the configuration menu. We'll go to server controls and check configuration, and we see we've got configuration valid. So now we can restart Home Assistant and we wait for it to reboot. Okay, great. So now that we've restarted Home Assistant, we can see the data from the solar inverter is available here on the badges at the top. We've got quite a lot of data. We've got some timestamps from the inverter. We've got the current daily energy. We've got the total energy. We've got the yearly energy. We've got the AC current at 7.45 amps. We've got the AC voltage. We've got the current AC power. So that was what was displaying on the LCD display on the inverter. We've also got things like the AC frequency, etc. And so what we can then do is start setting up some nice dashboards. So if we pop over to our demo dashboard and then go to the security page, just for clarity, in fact, let's go edit dashboard and let's create a new one and we'll call it power. And let's go save. And I'm going to add a gauge. I want to find Fronius. So I want to find power AC Fronius inverter, and I'm going to put in here solar energy. Our units is watts, so let's figure that out. And we can change the theme if we want to. We're not going to do that. What I am going to do is leave the minimum, but I'm going to change the maximum to 5200. I have a 5.18 kilowatt system, and so I'm going to set that here. We can also, with this gauge, define a severity. Now, what we can do there is have red, yellow, and green. So if I wanted to go 1200 there and green at 30, green at 3000, let's make green 2000. And so now we've got this gauge that tells us the current solar energy and other items as well if we wanted to. And now that we've got this data into Home Assistant, we can then utilize this data as either a trigger or condition for automations in Home Assistant. Now, like I mentioned earlier, if you have a different inverter, your configuration is probably going to be slightly different. But if you can find the details on the Home Assistant documentation page, you too can integrate your solar inverter data into Home Assistant. In a future video, I'll show you how we can gather all of this data that we're gathering into a nice dashboard so that we can visualize that data and help us actually make some decisions with the way we use our energy usage as well. Thank you so much for watching. I do hope I've helped you in some way with this video. If there's something that you want me to cover, drop a comment down below. Don't forget to like this video if you liked it, share it with your friends or family, and be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon so that you get notified when I release new videos. Thanks again for watching. I'm Stu from Hive Mind Automation, and I'll see you next time.